God, teaching John, who has the most sublime gospel, things that he did not know. That's why the Blessed Mother is the first evangelizer. Another tradition is that a Blessed Mother appeared to Saint Thomas in India in the year 48. Okay? But the first really documented and recorded apparition of the Blessed Mother was to Saint Gregory in Caesarea. And it was during that time our Blessed Mother appeared to him. This is recorded, historical, that Mary, on purpose niya, she clarified. There was a lot of controversy about how to understand, what to teach about the Trinity. And it was the Blessed Mother who appeared, sent by God to Saint Gregory. So, ano lang ang Blessed Mother? Imagine, she is sent by God to do theological work. So, as far as history is concerned, ito. Okay? Question is, how do we know that it is really Mary? Si Mary ba yung mga ipapakita? Well, number one, she identified herself. She says, in times past, listen to this. Also, of course, the devil can mimic God. He cannot imitate God, mimic. Mimic means fake. What's mimic? Somebody singing kunyari, pero may tape recorder na kumakanta. That's mimicking. That's not just imitating. Mimicking is he's not really doing it, he's just acting it out. The devil can mimic God. Alright? So how do we know if he's not mimicking God? In the history of the church, when the enemy appears as the Blessed Mother, he never says, I am the Blessed Mother. She looks like the Blessed Mother, acts like the Blessed Mother, but never says, I am the Blessed Mother. Do you understand? So one here is, instead, how do we know? She declares, I am this. And under various titles. When Bernadette was asking her, who are you? I'll tell you. Who are you? I'll tell you. Who are you? It was only on the 8th apparition that she said, I am the Immaculate Conception. In Fatima, she said, I am the Lady of the Rosary. In Point Main, she says, in Danube, she says, I am the Virgin of the Poor. In Laos, this is in France, she says, I'm the refuge of sinners. Alright? And in his apparition here in, I'm here to pronounce it, Peleboissy. Also in France, she said, I am all merciful. But the most beautiful was when she said, and I not your mother. So she introduces herself. Right? There was, of course, she doesn't always talk, but there, in Pont-Main, when she appeared there, she did not talk, but she pointed to a streamer in the sky. And it was there, beautifully said, my son allows himself to be touched. Not touched, but to be moved by your prayers. And all the people understood that immediately, that their children will come home from the war, because that was what they had been praying for. Another sign of whether this is the Blessed Mother or not is, and this is perhaps one of the most beautiful thing about her, is her delicate charity. She always does good by her presence. Okay? So you will notice in Banu, in Ephesus, in Lourdes, in Betania. Betania is in Venezuela. This is also proved by the church. Alright? There has always been miraculous springs of water. And even in La Salette, there was also water. That was the source of curing. Why water? Why not leaves? Dito sa Philippines, we heal people with tapal-tapal leaves. Why not leaves? Why not flowers? Because water recalls to us our consecration in baptism. You understand?
Yes.
It reminds us. Even being a religious is just an emphasis on what has already happened in our baptism. Every time we dip our hands and water, why? Why don't we just make the sign of the cross? Why do we dip it in holy water? It's all about baptism. The greatest thing that happened to us, we were grafted into God because of baptism. That is why when she appears, it's really about our belonging to God. Of course, in Rudebat, she left us the miraculous medal as a sign of her delicate charity. Actually, the medal of Rudebat was actually called the Immaculate Conception Medal, but because it was doing a lot of miracles, they call it Miraculous Medal afterwards. Okay? Does Mary always speak the same language? Okay? Well, she always speaks because it is not a vision, it is an apparition. Alright? In Lourdes, she used a French dialect for which certain priests could not understand. You know how the French are so proud about their language. They could not understand the Blessed Mother. Why will she speak dialect? It's demeaning. The Blessed Mother does not know French. Why will she speak French to a person who has no read nor write? She was always going down to them. Kibeho, you will notice there, is a place where she appeared in Africa, in Rwanda. Okay? She spoke the dialect of the place. In Guadalupe, she did not speak Spanish. She spoke the native language of the place. Kaya, question mark, how was the Blessed Mother speaking? If the Blessed Mother will appear in the Philippines and speak in English, nakakapagtaka. You understand what I'm saying? When the Blessed Mother supposedly appeared in Cabra Island in Mindoro, she was speaking in English to schoolgirls. What is that all about? So, there were places she did not speak at all, like in Knock, in Ireland. But where she spoke, she always used the language of the lowest people she was talking to. Well, the next question people always ask is, what does Mary look like? Every time there is an apparition, it's both very natural. The obvious question is, how does she look like? How does she dress? What was her voice like? Okay? How did she pose? Was she like this? Was she like this? Was she like that? Was she like this? These are natural inquiries because this is not bad to ask that because we all want to know, answers to this because it helps us in our devotion. It helps us to become closer to love the Blessed Mother kasi we are human beings, we need to see, di ba? Pag pumunta tayo sa restaurant, parang, ano itong kamaron na musado? Gusto ko makita yung picture. I remember when I eat in the restaurant with my mother, she doesn't look at the menu, she looks at the passing food. Yun. Gusto ko yun. Parang ang ganda ng itsura na yun. Ay, ayun sa kabilang lamesa. Yun gusto ko. We need to see. We're human beings. And so, it's natural for us to wonder why. Okay? When Bernadette was asked by somebody, how did the Blessed Mother look? Her answer was, oh, so beautiful that when one sees her once, he longs to die to see her again. One thing with the visionaries, they always seem to have difficulty imparting the pure beauty of their visions. They cannot explain. When I ask people who went to Batanes, how is Batanes? Ang ganda-ganda. Bakit maganda? Ang ganda-ganda bakit nga maganda? Ano yung maganda doon? Ayun ko. Sabi ko, when I go to Batanes, I will be able to say kung bakit maganda. When I went there, ang ganda! Bakit? Ganda! Can you imagine lalo na the Blessed Mother? All the visionaries agree that it is impossible to adequately describe the beauty of the Blessed Mother. Okay? They talk about her striking beauty, her smile, her gentle manners. There was a particular priest who was able to see the Blessed Mother in one of the apparitions. He was the only one, aside from the vision, who saw the Blessed Mother. And you know what happened to him? He died. After he saw the Blessed Mother in that apparition, he was on his way home. His last words were, how fortunate we are to have a mother like that in heaven. And he died, just peacefully. It was too much. Anybody who wants to see the Blessed Mother and die?
I do.
A very curious question. Does Mary always dress the same way? Well, she also has a wardrobe, as you will notice. Very often she dresses in white and in blue. But in some places, like you see here, like in Mount Maine, she dressed dark blue with stars. She had the black veil. She had the golden crown. All right. She had blue shoes with gold buckles. Wow. All right. In La Salette, this is La Salette, her slippers had pearls. Imagine. Can you beat that? Now you have an excuse. Okay. In Medjugorje, she was not in blue. She was in gray. Although here it's blue. She was in gray. In Quibeo, Africa, she was barefooted. Wala siyang habayana. Okay? Alright. But then, when she appeared in other countries, like in Vietnam, Naval, she was in the attire of the country. In Guadalupe, she was dressed as a married woman. Okay? In Quibeo, she had the color of the everywhere. In Mexico, in Vietnam, singkit si Mama Mary doon. I don't know if she's singkit. But, no. In Guadalupe, she had the color of the natives. In Africa, she appeared as an African. You know, sa Quibeo, Rwanda, alright? Sa Quibeo, sa Rwanda, the Blessed Mother was dancing. Because the people there, they dance during the Mass. No? During the Mass, everybody's dancing. This is not the opening. No. It's an opening dance. All stand for the opening dance. All stand for the offertory dance. All stand for the communion dance. That's how they express it. So in Quebec, when the Blessed Mother was appearing, she was dancing. Yung sayaw nilang gano'n. Grabe. I don't know if you heard about the operations in Quebec.
Not yet.
Huh? That is the most unbelievable for me. It's approved by the church in Rwanda. Grabe. Unlike anything we know. And when she appeared also, no, she appeared sometimes holding the child Jesus, like in Laos. And then in Rudebac, she appeared stepping on a huge serpent, like explanation. It's not all the time, like in Lourdes, she was with the rosary. It's not all the time she was with the rosary. Right? In La Salette, she had a big cross on her chest. In, I don't know how to pronounce that, but this, how do you pronounce this? Burang. In Burang, she had the crown. In Nax, she had the crown. In Fatima, she showed the Immaculate Heart. But, in Pelavoisie, which is also in France, she was wearing a scapular of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Okay? And all of this has something to do with the messages, with what she was trying to tell us by her apparitions. May mga kanya-kanya ano siya. What is more, I don't know if you want to call it disturbing, is when our Blessed Mother appears crying. No matter how she looks visibly, interiorly, Mary's heart was overflowing with motherly love. Yun ang laging sinasabi nila, she was very motherly all the time. Okay? Mary cried in La Salette, Mary cried in Rudebac, Miraculous Medal, Mary cried in Lourdes, right? And the visionaries, they say, when the Blessed Mother cries, they can't stand it. Can't stand it. Hindi nila matiis. Because and when in other apparitions, pag naiiyak yung Blessed Mother, parang wow! For lack of word, takot na takot sila umiyak ang Blessed Mother because they cannot stand seeing her cry. Mm-hmm. And you know, you are mothers. I don't know how many of you have cried over your children. Because such is her, I don't say desperation, is her desire to save us. And she said this in one of her recent apparitions in Argentina. Cry with me, my child, for I have never stopped crying. For mankind. Right? Next is, who does the Virgin Mary appear to? These are their ages. None of your ages. You know, our Blessed Mother appeared to saints, founders of religious orders. The Blessed Mother appeared to popes. All right? But it seems like she prefers to appear to young, to simple, and to poor. Wala kayong pag-asa. Just be content with Big Mary's. That's it. Saint Catherine Labouré, she was 24 years old, but she was an uneducated country girl. But in recent times, our Blessed Mother has appeared to children, to adolescents, to adults, to men, to women, to single people, to married people. Okay? She even appeared in Kibeho again. She appeared to 5 teenagers. 4 of them were girls, and one of them is a boy of 15 years old who is not even a Christian. And when he was saying the Blessed Mother was appearing, nobody would want to believe him. How can a Blessed Mother appear to a pagan? Remarkable. Beautiful. But then when Jesus was the one instructing him before he got baptized, and the priests were wondering, were questioning him how very theological his answers were. He was eventually baptized as Emmanuel. Right? Of course, we have the visionaries of Medjugorje, and this is a visionary of Betania, Venezuela. Her name is Esperanza. I wonder if you've heard of her. She's an approved apparition. She is a married woman, okay, with children. Okay. How was the seeing Blessed Mother impacted the lives of the visionaries? Some of them became saints. Okay, we know of Jacinta and Francisco, of course Bernadette, Catherine, San Juan Diego. Not all of them became saints. Right? We sometimes think that the Blessed Mother her choice of the visionary are those that are, already with certain amount of holiness. Not true, not true. Okay? We know that Jacinta and Francisco, they were cheating when they were praying the rosary. Okay? Right? We know that Juan Diego was just a newly baptized person. He was actually just a catechumen. Of course, Saint Catherine Labouré was no read, no write. Saint Bernadette failed in his catechism for so long a time. That's why she was able to receive her first communion only when she was 16 years old. Kasi lagpak sa catechism. When the Blessed Mother appeared to those 2 children in La Salette, they didn't even know how to pray the rosary. They didn't even know how to say the Hail Mary. They have no idea of the Our Father. So why did the Blessed Mother choose them? She can choose whoever she wants. Right? How was seeing the Blessed impacted the lives of the visionaries? Well, the visionaries came from all sorts, but all of them experienced a lot of suffering for the great privilege that they had received. And some of them, a good number of them, really agonized. They didn't want to tell anybody about the privilege that they had. Hindi sila nagsisisigaw dyan sa main street. Ay, naku, nakita ko Blessed Mother. Ang text kagad, hindi. They wanted to hide it as much as they could. They were ridiculed, they were interrogated, they were threatened, they were put to jail. Okay. But each of them went through a profound conversion. Meaning, wala sa kanila ang nagwala afterwards. You understand what I'm saying? Conversion was complete and good. Another sign another important sign. The sign is not whether they were pedigree religious. No. What happened after the apparition? What kind of lives did they have? You know, the two visionaries of Lazaret, we can say they were the most unsuccessful. Paano pinakialaman sila ng maraming tao? Yung lalaki, so si Maximin, they thought he should enter the seminary, so pinilit siya pumasok ng seminaryo. Hindi naman niya kaya, pinasok na naman sa ibang seminaryo. You know, they thought that a visionary should be a priest. Eh, hindi naman yung tawag niya. Si Melanie, of course, also of Lazaret, well, both of them were not able to finish their studies. They became very, very poor, but they lived good lives. Some died as children, some died at a great age, some entered religious life, others pursued their vocation as lay people. Some found peace and happiness, others were constantly struggled to find peace in the world, like Saint Bernadette. She was always struggling. Lagi na lang siyang inaaway ng mga, sinabi naman sa kanya ng Blessed Mother, terrible thing, you will not be happy on earth, but in the next. Anybody would like to hear that statement? I suppose nobody. Well, Alphonsine, the first visionary in Quibero, she became a cloistered nun. And one of the priests, one of the visionaries, and Banu also became a priest. Okay? Right? It is a beautiful reminder, these missionaries, that God can use whomever He wishes. We're talking about God, not the Blessed Mother. Whenever He wishes, in order to bring about His divine plan, He can use anybody. And so we cannot discriminate. Question, can anyone see the Blessed Mother? For your information, in Knock, Ireland, the vision of Jesus, John the Beloved, and Mary, and Joseph, that was seen by the people on the wall of the church for several hours. Anybody who came there, they saw it. Okay? So, it can happen that, so in Egypt, on top of the church, this is a picture. This was in 2009. Alright?
2008.
For several days, for several hours, Christians and Muslims saw the Blessed Mother on top of the Coptic church. And moving. Okay? So sometimes it appears to people, to plenty of people. Right? But sometimes also she appeared to specific people. In Pelé-Voisin, in 1876, she first appeared to this woman with tuberculosis. And she was, you notice, she was carrying this plaque. This was the Blessed Mother who had a scapular of the Sacred Heart and told her, my son will heal you, and I'd like you to make, when you get healed, I'd like you to make a plaque like this to be put in church. At nakasulod dun sa plaque, I'd like to thank the Blessed Mother for healing you. Binigyan niya sa kanya ng mga nabilihan doon. Pinakita niya sa kanya. Of course, in Medjugorje, we have all these 4 girls and 2 boys. Alright? They were in their teens, except for the youngest. Alright? I showed you this picture, right? Ito sila when they grew older. Only 2 of them continue to have visions. The older boy and her. Okay? They're all married. They all have families. They all have their children. Okay? Now, how long do the apparitions normally last? Some were very brief. For example, the one in Betania, Venezuela, it was just 1 day. But 7 apparitions. In that, it also happened only for 1 hour. And remember again. In Rudeback, Catherine she was talking to the Blessed Mother. Can you imagine? Her hands were on top of her knees, meaning she can feel the knees. It was not floating. She was feeling her knees. In fact, she did like this and then she did like this. Knees of the Blessed Mother. They were talking for 3 hours. Okay? In Quebeco, it was 6 years. She was continuously appealing. In La Salette, it was only one time. One period. Okay? In Lourdes, there were several days. In Guadalupe, several days, and so on and so forth. So, iba-iba. Alright? Now, the most important question is, why does Mary come? According to Cardinal Lorentan, I'm certain that the Virgin does not act in order to create a sensation or to instigate fear. The Blessed Mother doesn't come for her own self. She never comes for her own self. And so she does not make a spectacle. Do you understand what I'm saying? She doesn't make a spectacle. Mga magic na nangyayari. There is not that. We passed through a number of these apparitions. There was no magic. Walang himala. Okay? She does not present apocalyptic visions, but guides people to her Son. Her obsession is to bring to her Son, not to attract attention to herself. Mary's purpose is, through these simple ones, to call the world back to simplicity. That is, back to the essentials. Conversion, prayer, and the sacraments. That's all. The recent apparitions, the old ancient apparitions, they always say the same thing. Same thing. Prayer, conversion, and sacraments. The Blessed Mother doesn't come to attract attention to herself. She continues to visit us because she is our mother and because she wants to lead us to her Son. That's the point. Not to lead us to the visionary, no. Right? According to Pope Benedict XVI, Mary has continually re-entered the doors to our world. The goals of the Mother of God must perfectly match the will of God. And yet, it seems clear enough that apparitions intended for many on this side of the door repeatedly show the same purposes. All these apparitions, the same purpose, which is what? To bring us to her Son. Now, Cardinal Lorentan was able to come up with a list of why the Blessed Mother comes. This, to manifest the hidden presence of God. Meaning, for us to be able to see where we do not see God. So that communities, number 2, will become more alive and come together. So, if a vision separates communities, it is not from God. To convert hearts. If there is no conversion happening, only fun happening, only sensation happening, then it is not. Because that is the purpose. To reawaken and stimulate faith. People believe more. And finally, to renew hope and dynamism in the church. Right? Mary comes not only to convert individual hearts and souls, but she also wants to revitalize communities, to revitalize the church. What does Mary want to tell us? Right? Some of Mary's messages are intended only for individuals. So, for example, in Biorang, what's that? Borang, she talked with the 5 children and gave them secrets and they didn't tell anybody. What is this? Okay. It was for these people. In Guadalupe, alright, it was to be able to reconcile, she's an Indian and yet she's a Christian woman, to reconcile the Indians with the Spaniards together. That was, they wanted to put them together. So in a matter of only 6 years, 8 million Indians were converted to Catholicism. So this coming together. Okay? In Pont-Maine, she was encouraging the French people because that was the time they were praying very hard, World War II. Okay? That was the time she did not speak, but she hurled a banner saying that my son wants to be touched, meaning by your prayers. So she was telling them, pray, God will hear you in a little while. And you know, in a matter of, excuse me, this is quite isa sa mga napansin ko dito, 8 days, 8 days, 8 days. After the Blessed Mother appeared, after 8 days, the war ended. That's why we have September 8, we have December 8, and you will see later on, when the Pope prayed to the Blessed Mother and put her title as Queen of Peace, after 8 days, she appears in Fatima. It's something with 8. Okay? And of course, in Fatima, okay? Fatima is the most dramatic of all apparitions. It's prophetic and apocalyptic. It was meant for the entire world. Mary foretold the coming of the end of World War I, but the coming of World War II, communism, persecution of the church, but the eventual conversion of Russia. Okay? And it was at this time that Pope Benedict the 15th asked God through the Blessed Mother for peace. And as I said, put the title of Queen of Peace. After 8 days, she appears in Fatima with a peace plan. Okay? That's what she wants to say. What does our Blessed Mother want to tell us? In Guadalupe, she had, you notice there is this ribbon under her, above her stomach, which is a sign of the Indians that they are pregnant. It's a symbol of pregnancy. When they're pregnant, it's such a good news. They kind of parade it to everybody and they show that I'm pregnant. That is what it means. No? That's why natatawa naman ako sa mga painting ng Guadalupe na wala yung ribbon na yun. That's the most important thing. That is not a decoration. She's pregnant. And judging from her face and her body, she's really a pregnant woman. Why? Because the Aztecs were sacrificing babies to their gods. Her message here is to respect life, the life of the unborn, the life of baby. That's why now, Pope John Paul II went to Poland 2 times. To Guadalupe, he went 4 times. And he made Our Lady of Guadalupe the patroness of the new millennium. It's kind of special. In Rudibach, 24 years before the proclamation of Immaculate Conception, our Blessed Mother told Catherine to make a medal that's written there, Mary conceived without sin, pray for us 24 years before the proclamation. So the purpose of the Blessed Mother's apparition is also to make the wonders God has done for her known. May mga message siya. Finally, in Lourdes, when she was asked, that is 4 years after the proclamation of the dogma, she tells them, yes, tama, I agree, I approve the dogma that you made about me. And remember, dogmas of the Blessed Mother is not about her, it's about Jesus.